So good morning, one and all. I would like to continue with the session that we had begun the previous class. And I would like here for students to kindly put on the chat box the understanding or the remembrance of whatever we had discussed in the previous class. So as part of your class participation, request all of you to kindly put in your answers in the chat box and ensure that you are sending the message to all, to everyone. Otherwise, in the chat box, sometimes it is addressed to certain people. So kindly put in the chat box, students, what is it that you remember from the last class, the recap of whatever was discussed. For example, on the screen, what you see now is that of the characteristic of strong hypothesis. So we had discussed hypothesis as part of the last class discussion. So similar to that, what else do you remember from the last class? So some little bit of the recap I would like to have. I would like to have the answers in the chat box from each of you. And any student can mention multiple, answers. And I would like to see as many people as possible to be answering. Please put in your chat box, what is that you remember from the previous class? So what is that we discussed in the previous class? We had discussed certain things that in the research domain, whenever we are conducting research, certain things need to be understood. So what needs to be understood? So there are certain terms that were used. Kindly recall and put it in the chat box. What do you remember? Also, you can put in the chat box, what is it that you understood out of these terms? Your understanding, your recall of whatever it was understood. With examples also. For example, you could give an example and say, this is an example of that particular term. All right. So you can give that. You can also let us know what is it that you have got as an outcome of studying that particular class. For example, since you have studied some of the things like concepts and constructs or events or variables, what is the understanding that you have out of the previous session? So when we talk about the variables, what are the variables that are there? How does variable help in your research? You can give with examples. Please mention in the chat box. So kindly send in your answers. Then, for example, on the screen, I'm putting a particular, concept on the screen. I would request you to please answer this. What is it that you understand by independent variable and dependent variable? This is also a recap of the previous session. Independent variable and dependent variable. Can you give some examples? I would like to see students' answers with respect to your understanding. Give some example of what is an independent variable, what is a dependent variable. You can take any context, make any assumption. All right. Some of you can also answer with respect to that particular question, the theoretical definition of independent variable and dependent variable. So student can answer only the fact that, yes, this is an independent variable and another variable is taken as a dependent variable and why. Now, next thing I would like to get the answer is, what is your understanding of a moderating variable, right? Moderating variable, please put in your answers. Next thing is, I would like to understand from all of you, extraneous variables. What are extraneous variables in research, in business research? Please put in your answers. What is it that you understand which are extraneous variable? And what are the types of extraneous variables that are there? Next is intervening variables. Please put in your answers, students. Please put in your answers. What is it that you have understood by the term intervening variables? All right, and then let us understand from you, let me see some examples of answers about what is a proposition and what is a hypothesis. What is a proposition and what is a hypothesis? Very good, some good answers are coming in. Yes, put in your answers. We will look at the answers and make sure that your answers are marked to everybody so that people can see it. Students can see the answers of not only their own, but also the others. So when you're typing the answers, make sure, students, that you type the answers addressed to everyone in the chat box, right? So proposition and hypothesis. What is it that you have understood? Now, can you please give an example? Please, students, attempt to give some examples of hypothesis or proposition that you can think about. Maybe you have read some research articles. The research article which was part of the assignment, you've read that and then you understood that was a hypothesis or whatever you remember vaguely. We don't need examples to be perfectly, correlating with what was there in the research article. And understanding or make it up, make an assumption. Next is research question. What is it that you have understood of research question? And can you put some examples of research question? Please put in your answers. What are research questions? Can you please put in your answers in the chat box? Okay, Anusha, Bhanu, Bhumika, Chaitanya, Chalapati, I need to see your answers. Just logging in and being there will not help. My dear students, kindly participate by putting in your answers. Haripriya, Harsha, Ahmed, Ijaz Ahmed, Kiran, Srinivas. I hope all of you are putting in the answers. I need the answers in the chat box going up to double digits. Okay, and more than 20, 25 should be coming in immediately. Research question. Can you make some research question? What you see on the screen. So what are research questions which are driving research? So please give some examples, put in your answers. And can you give some examples of correlational and causal hypothesis? Please see the example on the screen and put in your answers of some examples that you can think about, make some suitable assumption. Now, why are we discussing this? Because these are very critical terms in research, and these terms need to be understood when we go forward to understand how we are going to proceed with the research process. All right. So we need to understand different hypotheses are there. There are different types of hypotheses, two of which we discussed in the last class pertaining to correlational and causal hypothesis. I request you to please put in your answers in the chat box. Give some examples of causal hypothesis. Very good. Pranita, Anusha, all these people have responded. Medha, right? Saukya, Omkar, Nisarga, Mamata. All right. Yeah, put in your answers, please. Make sure you are answering it with respect to sending it for everyone. Next. Any more examples that you can think about, which is what is the role of hypothesis? Please put in your answers. Why do you think hypothesis is needed in a study? And what do you see on the title of screen? Can somebody tell me? We have put on the title screen, that is on top of the screen. The heading of this slide is the role of hypothesis. Hypotheses. Is it a correct spelling or is it a wrong spelling? What is the other spelling that we know of? Hypothesis. Why is it SES here? Can you put your answers on this, chat box? Why is it written like this? The role of hypothesis, quote unquote, this spelling. Why is it here? What is the reason that that your spelling here is like this? Can somebody tell me? Can someone attempt and tell me? Can you see on the screen where the cursor is going with a kind of a torch? Can you see that? Please observe where this cursor is. Have you seen that? Can somebody tell me what is this? Why is it mentioned as hypothesis?
It's in a plural form.
Very good. Very good. Yes, plural form. Thank you. Thank you, Omka. Thank you, Pranita. Yes. So you need to make a note of all this. Very good, Anita, Gautam and all. You are also answering. Yes, when it is a plural, more than one hypothesis used, then the spelling becomes what you're seeing on the screen right now, right? That is what you're seeing on the screen. So what is the role of hypothesis? Please put in your answers. Why do you think hypothesis is required in a research? Any one point from any student? Each student can just mention 1 point. That's all. 1 point only. Why are hypotheses required in research? Why is it required? And do you remember any kind of hypothesis? You can even give some examples. You can also give some examples, right? So what is the reason to have a hypothesis, and that to a strong one? What are the 3 things? It should be adequate, testable, and better than rivals, right? And then we proceed to what we had been doing from the previous class to the class for today and hereafter. So there are theories that are used within research. We took some examples of theories. What do you see on the screen? Can you tell me what this is on the screen? What is this theory? What is this theory that you're seeing on the screen? What is it? That graphical representation that is coming up?
Life cycle.
Life cycle.
Life cycle of whom?
Business.
Business? Product line. Very good.
Product map.
Very good, very good, very good. Excellent. Thank you so much. And excellent. So this is a PLC, product life cycle curve, right? So when we do research, we said theory is required. So various theories can be taken. And from that, those aspect of theory, a portion of the theory can be taken for discussion, for research, or for pursuing something pertaining to a research question. All right. Now, when we do reasoning, there are different ways by which we do the reasoning. One is to collect data, empirical data, and then make some kind of an assumption about what has been found out. So in that way, what happens is we try to make an assumption of the data leading into some conclusions. That is called inductive reasoning. All right. And when from theory, from some generalized theory, you try to derive some reasoning and draw some conclusions by getting facts, that is your deductive reasoning. So normally in research, we employ two types of reasoning. One is inductive and deductive. So once we know about some conclusion, we try to ensure that this helps in increasing, as we said, what is the purpose of research? Pursuing a non-trivial question in order to ensure that you get some kind of an idea which enhances the body of knowledge. So what you see on the screen here, and if you observe the cursor going up and down with the spotlight, red spotlight. So conclusions about, for example, market behavior will lead to model development. So there will be some amount of understanding about how to develop a model. Now, what is a model actually? A model is nothing but a representation about some phenomenon in reality. So you could have graphical models, you could have mathematical models, you can even have verbal models, something which describes. So the purpose of showing this on the screen is that through research and through structured reasoning, we try to get data, or from a certain theory, we try to conclude about a certain phenomenon and enhance the body of knowledge through taking the development of models from empirical background. And what you see on the top of the screen, that is between the conclusions about market behavior and model development, is the fact that developing premises, testing, anticipating outcomes. This is the cursor now. Specify relationships among variables. So variables identification in research, what has to be studied in research is done. How the researcher will come to that is again through the robust review of literature, understand what variables. Now, what are variables? You have understood from the previous session that these are certain aspects about which data is collected. It could be about characteristics, traits, about certain events, objects, right? All of these. So you have independent, dependent variables being the two basic variables that are definitely outlined in research. And hypothesis is basically to outline the relationship, proposed relationship, which is going to be tested, wherein there'll be an independent and a dependent variable. So if you look at the next one, so models are important because models would be existing in the existing domain of knowledge, and models' purpose is to represent or describe, like I told you, and theory has to explain that. So graphically, if you're having a model being described like your PLC or the 5 steps of consumer decision-making process, all of these explain certain ways by which something is happening in a realistic situation. And the role of research would be to get data, validate that model, or maybe enhance the depth of the model. So what kind of models are there? There are descriptive models, which are used to describe certain situations, certain phenomena, understand certain systems, and you visualize it. There can be predictive models, which are definitely used for predicting certain events in the future. And of course, you could have normative models, which are used for control or for what purposes they are used. Now, in different caselet scenarios going forward, we will see the use of these kind of models. So in research, if you are observing something, that there is a scientific process or method that is being followed in order to ensure that empirical data collection leads to some kind of an outcome based on a certain kind of premise. So what are the scientific method, and why are we calling research which should be done in a scientific manner? What is the scientific method all about? There should be direct observation. You should have clearly defined variables, clearly defined methods, empirically testable. Elimination of alternatives should be possible. There should be some statistical justification, right? And there should be self-correcting process, if any. So that provides the basis or the premise of having a scientific method being part of business research. Now, why are these very important? This is important because when you do research, as we said, it is a systematic and objective process of collecting data and providing information to aid decision making, especially for business conditions, which are more often than not in a context of uncertainty. So how you conduct the research has to be very systematic and not haphazard. And it has to be conducted in a scientific method. The method follows all of these that you see on the screen. So that ensures that researchers are able to understand what they want to find out, yet it is a fact of life that you could encounter problems and challenges. So it is better to state what is it that has to be researched, what is the problem. You need to outline the boundaries of the problem. You need to understand what is it that you're going to cover as part of the research. So you need to understand very clearly what is the hypothesis or what are the hypotheses that you are going to follow and which you aim to test, verify, the data collection of which has to be based on sound grounding of research design. And after the collection of data, the analysis is supposed to help you in finding the answers to your question. So what you need to understand is how do you come to the conclusion of the outcomes? What kind of reasoning do you follow? How do you ensure that you're formulating the best kind of hypothesis possible? So what are the other possible hypotheses that could be framed, but why a certain set of hypotheses, why a certain statement of hypothesis using a certain set of independent and dependent variable must be considered, and why certain variables will not be considered as independent and dependent variable, but will be considered as moderating variables or confounding variables being part of the extraneous variables, and which variables are you going to consider as control variables? Because in business research, what happens is you cannot possibly account and test all variables affecting a outcome or a phenomenon. You need to be able to understand how to devise and conduct the empirical test basis which the data collection and the analysis has to be done. Should you need to conduct mixed methods? Is only quantitative way the only best way, or should it be also blended with a qualitative method of testing? All of these have to be used in order for a researcher to be able to draw conclusions which are reliable and valid. So what is reliability of research and what is validity of research? We will look at it very soon. So this is how the reasoning proposes that you expose certain things, and when you are going to do an argument, or you are going to kind of reason out things out of the outcome of research, you follow the deduction and induction process as we explained before. So induction process is when we are using the facts and we try to generalize, and when we are using theories based on which we try to formulate certain hypotheses or formulate and understand why certain facts have happened, that happens to be the deduction process. Now, why is it important to understand this? Because basic understanding is that research philosophy is something relating to the development of knowledge. And the philosophy that you're going to use, the kind of concepts that you're going to use, the kind of rationality that you're going to use is definitely going to guide the researcher in his method of collecting the data. And one thing which is very important is to understand that theories are definitely used to collect when we talk about the hypothesis building, the hypothesis actually helps in refining or validating the theories which are there. But very often than not, one thing which is also, are you able to hear me? I think there was a
Yes, ma'am.
There was a small disconnection that I faced right now.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, where do you remember? I don't know why this disconnection happened. So we were discussing about why hypothesis, the fact that you should be able to report your findings, and if required, even if certain hypothesis is proved to be untrue, is that itself should be reported, because the purpose of research is not only to go and validate and only say that the hypothesis is true, it is to also find out if certain hypothesis assumed by the researcher is not true also. So reporting data findings, collection, the analysis findings, and reporting it as it is, proving in effect whether something is true or false, is also a part of true research. And just because an object, and one hypothesis or a set of hypotheses or some hypothesis is wrong, is not a bad outcome, is something that you need to remember. And that fact itself, when many researchers come with such kind of findings, it also helps improve the body of knowledge. Now, what are the objectives of research? Objective of research happens to be obviously to have some answers to questions through the application of scientific process. Why scientific process? Because it helps ensure that your data collection or the process employed in conducting it is absolutely scientific, and it can be replicable, and it is something that is not haphazard but rather systematic. The main aim of research is to find out the truth which is hidden and which has not been discovered yet. Though each research study has its own specific purpose, we may think of research objectives as falling into a number of broad groupings. So there are certain objectives by which research is conducted, basically to understand some of the answers out of the curiosity of the researcher or from the particular domain. So the different type of objectives that could be there is to gain familiarity. First is to gain familiarity with a phenomenon or to achieve new insights. That kind of research is exploratory or formulative research studies. So as the term says, exploratory research studies, you try to explore, or perhaps before even you start full-fledged research, you try to use this exploratory or formulative research studies to understand what should be really, researched upon, what is the kind of information that we should really see. The second type would be to portray accurately the characteristics of a particular individual, situation, or group. These are descriptive research studies, right? So descriptive research studies, here if you recall the types of studies that we have looked at: reporting studies, descriptive studies, explanatory, and then we have predictive studies. So descriptive study here is to describe certain characteristics of certain situation, people, and all. Third type would be to determine the frequency with which something occurs or with which it is associated with something else. These are diagnostic research studies. So the type of research study which is diagnostic research study is what? To determine the frequency with which something is occurring. So your research study or any business research study could have any of these objectives as part of their purpose of conducting the research. The other fourth type would be to test a hypothesis of a causal relationship between variables. Hypothesis testing research studies. So what are hypothesis testing research studies? These test causal relationship. Now, please be careful here. The term here is causal. Now observe my cursor, please. Do not write casual. Often in exam, because when you are studying this, it is not only in terms of application of business research methods to your working scenario, you also have to pass exams as part of your academic requirement. So causal relationship means cause and effect. Very often we have found that students misspell this causal to be casual, C-A-S-U-A-L, wrong spelling. Casual is different. Causal is C-A-U-S-A-L. So causal relationship. So hypothesis testing research studies are mainly to test hypothesis of a causal relationship. Why? If you recall, what is a hypothesis? Which is an assumption that is stated in a statement format, which has an independent and a dependent variable. So you try to find out whether the independent variable has some kind of an effect on the dependent variable. So therefore, we try to find whether there's a cause and effect relationship. Hence, it is a causal relationship between the variables, right? So what are the types of research studies based on the objectives? Exploratory or formulative studies, descriptive studies, diagnostic research studies, and hypothesis testing research studies. Now, this is the types of research. There are descriptive studies and there are analytical studies. All right, so descriptive studies versus analytical studies. Again, where you describe certain scenario, the objective of the study being the description of or characteristics or providing the details of certain things, versus another study type of study could be wherein you are using analytical tools, right? The second type could be applied research studies and fundamental research studies. Applied research studies, can you please mention in the chat box what do you think are applied research studies? Applied research studies happens to be one second, I was just reading the chat box. Anusha, you're saying that the video is not on. I have put on the video, Anusha.
No, ma'am. You asked us to remind you to switch on the videos.
Oh, right. Yes, we'll do it at the end of this slide. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay, so applied research studies are wherein you are trying to conduct research to find out whether some concept or some theory is having different kind of applications. For example, we said consumer behavior theories. Are they the same when you talk about consumer behavior in the Western markets versus the Asian market or Asia Pacific market or the Indian market? That would be different, right? So you're not really developing the theory or developing any kind of concept, but you're trying to test whether something is working to what extent, whether differently in different kind of situation. That is applied research. Fundamental research would be basically to develop theories or concepts and then try and see whether that can be used later. When the use or the application of a theory is done, that is applied research. What is quantitative research versus qualitative research? When you're using quantitative methods in the research study, that is calculations, using numbers, right? Quantitative methods are used in the research, that is basically quantitative research. Versus what is qualitative research? When you're using qualitative methods, subjective methods of finding out certain things, analyzing certain things, but not using really rigorous mathematical tools. But can you have research studies which employs both? Yes, you can have research studies which employ both quantitative and qualitative methods. And there could be some research which is actually conceptual versus empirical. Conceptual would mean again the same type of fundamental, which is to develop concepts, basic kind of ideas. And when you are doing testing, that is you're collecting data, doing testing, analyzing, that is empirical studies. All right, so these are the different type of research studies. We will look at the research approaches. In the meantime, we would like to take a little bit of a minute or so, and I would like to request all the students to please switch on your videos. I would like to take some screenshot or in the gallery view. Please switch on your videos. We would like to take a screenshot of all of you with your videos on for about 20-25 seconds. Thank you, Anusha, for reminding me. So we were trying to take a screenshot of the videos and see as part of the attendance. Let us see the lovely faces of all the students here. Just switch on your videos as it is. We are in lockdown and we are at home and we can be in all possible, attire, so be it. But more important is let us see each other. So kindly switch on your videos. Let me see all of you. Please switch on your videos. Anusha and the team, can you please ping your friends and let us see, let people please switch on their videos.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Mamata. Good morning. Nice to see you. Pooja. Good morning.
Hi, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning. Lovely seeing all of you here. Yeah, I'm taking the screenshots. I'll take multiple ones because it's very important. You know what used to be done? Please keep switching on your videos. If you're switched it on, keep it switched on. Let me also tell you in the classes, in the physical classes, I mean, okay, every kind of situation we face in life is different and it's going to teach us different things. So just while we are doing all this online, the counting the blessings part of it is that we are learning new methods of reaching out to each other and stuff and all that. But when we used to have physical classes, what we used to do is, for different activities and all that, we would also take photographs in the classes. So some of you might have seen in my social media handle, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and all that. Lovely moments, students after discussing case studies, after discussing caselets, after some workshop, we would all get together and kind of take pictures and all that. And certain times it used to be very, very hectic sessions of classes, hectic sessions of case discussion, mandatory following deadlines, and many students, like students always are, whenever we put on the hats of students, like in my doctoral study when I was a doctoral student, no matter whatever it is, the moment you are a student, you always feel like, okay, deadlines can always be extended. Sometimes they'll tell us submit this thing by now, and we're like, can you give us 1 week more? Can you give us 3 days more? Can you give me 2 days more and all that? So we used to do that. And so your senior alumni, senior students in classes, when they used to come, and we used to have a lot of sessions, lot of interactive sessions. So after all of that, we used to take photographs as kind of remembering things and all. Nowadays, so many of these photographs have become like throwback pictures. They become like sweet memories. And many students who had been very resistant, why are we so hectic in the class? Why are things being done with so much of deadlines and all that? Why should we be doing this and all? There was a mixed kind of opinions. And now today, when they look back on these photographs, everybody is like, yeah, those were the sweet days. See some of the, comments on the photos that I have posted, and many students have actually come back and said that those are the very memorable days. So sometimes what happens is we don't need to always, and many of the times when we were taking photographs, people will be like, we will also say, are we in the best of the, attires? Are we in the best kind of appearance? Why should you take a photo? I'll be at the back or whatever. Nowadays, those photos become something of memories. So what is happening is, since the lockdown has currently now been extended, I think all of you are aware, it has got extended.
Yes, ma'am.
First week. So I am not able to even predict anything like when do I get to see all of you. So and so must you also be, that you are not able to come to the campus and have your interactions with other faculty members or your students per se. So what remains is the fact that at least on the screen, let us all be together and let us look at each other. And if the videos are on, you can look at each other, and if you've not really interacted or if you've not really seen. So it doesn't matter. What I was trying to say, it doesn't matter, whether you're in the best of the appearance or whatever. The purpose is, can we just have a face to each of the, names that are there on the screen? That was important. And so that was the purpose for which I thought today, during the class, taking a few moments off from the class discussion, I thought of actually doing this exercise wherein we all see each other, and I'll keep these screenshots with me, and I will share it with all of you inside the LMS appropriately, so that if you can use it wherever you want to use it later. It's just like a kind of a memory also. Right now, as you are on with your videos, let me also tell you now a little bit of work talk, right? Official talk also. So one thing I wanted to let all of you know is that as part of your assignment, please keep your videos on. All right. So as part of your assignment for case study discussion, all right, I have given out a case, that Ohio Lottery for research design. And I wish that you do it in groups. Right? You will submit your answers, Word file, all of that, you will do that. PPTs also you will do as part of presentation, but please understand, we do not have too much of time for taking all the groups to present in a class. Hence, my proposition is that for your evaluation, for your internal assessment component, the case study that I have given out, groups should make video presentation. All right, so you coordinate amongst yourself, use a PPT, and make sure you do a video recording of that. You will not be able to put it up on the LMS, because that's what I found in the LMS when I had talked to all of you to put up a 1-minute video. Some people could not upload their videos is what I found. So I will give out the dates of the submission of that particular assignment. When the dates are given out, by that date, I will also be putting up a Google Drive link wherein all students should upload, that is all the groups. Nisarga, video on please. So all the groups must upload their group's video presentation. So if you have 5 members in a group, for example, all these 5 members must get together offline. You do that beyond the class. You will get together, make a PPT, and then you will coordinate. Perhaps you will make a Zoom meeting of yourselves and make sure that that entire group presentation must not exceed 10 minutes. So even if you have your own individual Zoom IDs and all, they allow 40-45 minutes, right? What you need to do is you make the presentation amongst yourselves. So you make the presentation as if you are making the presentation in that 5-member team. Each person will take portions of that PPT and you will do the presentation. If you want to edit the video recording, that is up to all of you. The final video recording must not exceed 10 minutes, in which all the members of the group does a presentation of that particular case study. And in a class, I will be randomly picking up few groups, and based on that, and we are going to put this video up for viewing by everyone in the class. So we will have a session wherein all of you will see each other's video presentation, and whatever would be the question, doubts, critical, kind of a thing, you can ask in the class, saying that, group so-and-so, I noticed that in that presentation, you have mentioned this. What is your opinion on this? So we can have more of a meaningful presentation than all of us, sitting back and watching somebody's presentation going on, and several things happen during a live, class like this. One is we don't have adequate time for everybody to do the presentation. Second is sometimes the network will falter. So for example, Tanya is making a presentation, maybe her network is good, but Krutika's network might falter. So in a 10-minute presentation that we want to do live, because of the constraints of bandwidth, we can have a lot of wastage of time. All right. And the video presentations will also help in, for me to do the evaluation for all of you. So we will begin with that Ohio Lottery case study as the first set of presentation. After the presentations are uploaded, we will have kind of a discussion, and several such case studies will be done. For example, as part of your unit 3-4, we will have several case studies. It will all follow the same method. Is that okay with all of you? Okay.
Ma'am, some group members do not want to respond, ma'am. We can do the presentation without them.
Without them, absolutely. We cannot force anybody.
Thank you. Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Lovely. Lovely seeing all of you. So we will continue. If you have any kind of suggestions, please feel free to message me in the chat box now or in the LMS also. Or you have my numbers, you can SMS me also there. All right. So can we continue?
Yes, ma'am.
If it was a physical class, 5 minutes, you would have gone to take some water and come back and, stuff like that. But 1 hour is too less a time to do all that. In a 2 hours class, we often used to do that. Right? We will continue. So yeah, somebody said network issue. So where were we were discussing about the different kinds of research, right? So what are the types of research that we have seen? Exploratory, descriptive, diagnostic, hypothesis testing. Again, types of research: descriptive versus analytical research, applied versus fundamental research, quantitative versus qualitative, conceptual versus empirical. Research approaches: quantitative research approach primarily follow, as I said, quantitative tools. So it follows inferential, experimental, and simulation approaches. Different types of approaches required for different types of business research. Something which is required for marketing might not be required for HR. Something which is required for HR might not be required for financial research, and all of that. Qualitative research approach, as I told you, it is subjective assessment of attitudes, opinions, and behavior. We will see all of these examples. In fact, the case study that I was telling all of you, the Ohio Lottery, copy of which I have uploaded in the LMS, if you go through that, you will see the use of different quantitative and qualitative approach. The reason I'm going through the theory right now is because once we finish the basic foundational concepts of all these, then you will see that when we approach different cases, big cases which require several sessions for you to read, reread, and understand and discuss, you will see how brilliantly these kind of approaches are actually required for research. Next is to understand a classification of business research. So what are the types of research that is there? There could be problem identification research, and there are problem solving research. So what you see on the left side of your screen is the problem identification research pertaining to business potential research. So if you recall, certain researches will be there to understand what is the market potential, the business potential, what is the corporate's potential in the industry, market share research, market characteristics, or different domain related analysis research like sales analysis, financial analysis, HR analysis, all of that. Forecasting research of all types, business trends research. And if you remember the guest faculty or the guest lecturer whom I brought in, Dr. Mahesh's session, he was talking about different kinds of trends which are there, and there are active ways by which companies actively gather competitive intelligence or business intelligence to forecast. Problem solving research, which you see on the right side of your screen, pertains to segmentation research. That is what? To find out what can solve a certain problem. So you need to find out which segment of customers to attract, which segment of employees to attract, how to keep employees motivated, which type of employees to keep motivated. Or maybe you want to find out, second point, training effectiveness. So you want to find whether certain trainings are really working or not, or what should be done to increase the effectiveness, right? Employee engagement, product research, pricing research, promotion research, and distribution research are some examples of problem solving research. So what are we seeing on the screen? The different types of research that is done in business scenario. Okay, problem identification and problem solving. Now what you see on the screen coming up is a research process, the set of steps that are there in conducting research. Now you need to appreciate that different theories or different kinds of authors and different textbooks will mention in different kinds of ways the process of research. So what you see in Hooper Schindler is a type of, the set of processes with very much of details given. If you see some other textbook, Kothari or something else, Rajendra Nargundkar, you will see different kinds of steps. But basically, the steps of research is what you see on the screen, which I've put up, which is, it has a set of steps beginning with the first step, going to the second step, and thereafter till the last step, which in this case is the sixth step. So what is the first step? Defining the problem. Second step, literature review, developing an approach to the problem. Third step, formulating a research design. Fourth, data collection. Fifth, data analysis and interpretation. Sixth step, preparing and presenting the report. Now, why are we mentioning it as step 1, step 2, 3, step 4, till step 6? To indicate as a numeric order, ascending order, the first step must be the beginning of the process of research, followed by the second, thereafter to the third, leading to the fourth, then on to the fifth, and finally leading to the sixth step. Which means, as we said, research process, business research process is a systematic process of collecting data. So systematic in the sense that we cannot go to the fifth step, for example, without having done the due diligence in step 1, 2, 3, and 4. Right? And after step 5, we need to understand we have to prepare a report, which is a formal report, in order to prepare and present the findings of what has been done in the research. So it's not that in step 5, the research ends, which is, yes, I've collected the data, fantastic, sophisticated analysis done. Everything is done and here it is. And this is now given to the business, company or the sponsor of the research saying, you now go figure it out. No. So step 5 has to be followed by step 6, which is a preparing and presenting the report. Please also understand that the same research process is something that you will follow for your summer internship as well. Out of the summer internship, for example, there's a summer internship report that has to be submitted. It will also follow the same thing. If you have to do a dissertation project or a dissertation kind of a thesis as part of your academic requirement to get your degree, that also will follow this. You have to identify a problem, do your review of literature, formulate the research design, collect the data, analyze and interpret it, and prepare the report, something which you have to submit physically also, and also the e-copies, PDF copies. All right. So research process is very much important to understand, because at the end of the day, the research process has to be followed by everyone who is going to undertake the business research process. Now, the process, as we saw, the first step of the process is problem identification. How do you define the problem? So there are certain tasks. What you see on the screen here, let me put the spotlight on certain tasks which is preceding the problem definition. Please observe on your screen here where the spotlight is focusing. The problem definition is the first step of research. We saw it, right? And problem definition will have two aspects because it is in the business research context. Please understand that. So business research would mean there would be a management decision problem and there would be a business research problem. So typically we talk of this two as management decision problem with something that the management would need to decide on, decision scenario. Business research problem should mean to identify the information requirements which will help the decision-making process. So that is your step 1. Now, more importantly, please understand the preceding steps, the steps before problem definition. What are the steps? There are certain tasks that are involved. Now observe the spotlight on the screen, on the top of the screen, just below the title of the slide. What are the tasks involved? You have to discuss with decision makers. You need to interview or have interviews with experts who know about the domain. You need to have secondary data analysis. What is secondary data? Can anybody tell me or write on this chat box? Secondary data. So we have not yet started primary data collection for the research, but you are going and analyzing the secondary data that is available and perhaps doing some qualitative research, some exploratory research to understand what kind of research should be ideally conducted for the scenario. And all these tasks, that is the first 4 boxes you see on the screen, highlighted by the spotlight cursor, leads to the environmental context of the problem. And I have an acronym for that, which will help you to understand what all you need to consider before finalizing the problem definition. This environmental context of the problem then leads to problem definition. So problem definition must be done from the point of view of the management decision problem and the business research problem. That leads to the second step, which is to develop the approach to the problem. To develop the approach to the problem, we come to the second stage. Right. Rashmi says collected data by primary user. Okay, it's not clear, Rashmi. Yes, it is primary user, but secondary data means what? What is secondary data? Supposing you have to do some research and somebody is saying that, please see the secondary data which is available. What would that data mean? That data would primarily...
The data collected by other resources.
Absolutely. That was, I missed the name.
Darnish, ma'am.
Sorry?
Darnish Manjunath, ma'am.
Very good, Darnish. Okay, I think I'm hearing you for the first time. Thank you very much. Yes, it is data collected by some other researchers in some other research, program. So data which is already existing, collected by some other researcher or some other person other than the current researcher, and which is not collected for the present research context. So that is secondary data. So the already existing data should be consulted, right? So what do we see on the screen? Therefore, what is our understanding? That when we have to define the problem for the research, we should have this discussion with the decision makers, talk to experts, consult previous data, do qualitative research, exploratory work, whatever required, develop the environmental context of the problem, then understand the problem from the management decision perspective and define the information requirements. That would then lead to the approach to the problem, which is understand what kind of objectives have to be set, what kind of theoretical foundations are required, what kind of analytical models should be used, and what type of models are there. I had told you there are verbal, graphical, and mathematical models. So we need to understand what type of models. If you're going to have a forecasting kind of a thing, you might have to use mathematical models. If you are talking about something like consumer decision-making process, there are certain graphical models, and then there could be many kinds of models pertaining to the areas of production, finance, HR, marketing, all of that. Then you need to develop the research questions, develop the hypothesis, plural. You also need to specify the information requirement and thereafter proceed to the research design. With respect to the problem definition, there is a process which we employ, which is known as a problem audit. What is an audit actually? Basically, problem audit here in this case is a comprehensive examination of a business problem. You try to understand the perspective of the business scenario and then understand why we should be conducting research, right? So if you remember the caselets that we had discussed, for example, the classic toys, MedImage, More Coatings, York College and all, there was a certain situation, business situation facing the organization, and therefore there was a requirement to collect some data. So problem audit is that process. What is audit basically? You can put your answers in the chat box. What is the purpose of an audit? Audit per se. Audit, this term comes from some particular domain in business, right? What does it remind you of when you, hear or see the term audit, A-U-D-I-T? So you do an audit to find out what is going wrong or what has happened correctly and understand what is it going to be affecting the decision making of business. What is the background of the research decision maker, the alternative courses available, what are the criteria that will be used to evaluate the alternative courses of action available to the decision maker. Please note here on decision maker, short form we will use is DM. The potential actions that are likely to be suggested based on the research findings, information that is needed to answer the decision maker's questions, and the manner in which the decision maker will use each item of information in making the decision. Last but not the least, which I've been highlighting to all of you since the beginning of my sessions, is the corporate culture as it relates to decision making. Will they be using the outcome of the research for the purpose of decision making or not? Yes. So Siddharth says verification of assets, liability in a business is audits. All right. Yes, true. All right. So next we come to the 7 C's of interaction. So when this problem definition is going to happen between the business researcher and the decision maker, the method of communication, the method of interaction can follow the 7 C's, which means certain things should be done, which is communication between the researcher and the decision maker, cooperation between both of them, confidence in each other's ability. The decision maker must have confidence in the business researcher to provide adequate information. And the business researcher also must understand that the decision maker is capable and empowered to take decisions based on the information provided. It could also imply expertise and credibility between or the understanding of expertise and credibility of each other in the domain. Confidence, candor, that is frankness, closeness. You need to discuss things frankly. It's just like a patient and doctor relationship also. You cannot hide facts. You need to be frank enough, yet ensure, and you have the confidence that your confidential information will not be breached. There should be a continuity of what has been discussed, and the relationship must be in a state of not a transaction mode, but like a relationship mode. And of course, there should be creativity. There should be a little bit of thought, not following, the typical ways of thinking. So out of the box thinking, but please do remember to get into the box back after all the creativity is done. And the environmental context of the problem. So what you need to take into account is the fact that there are certain things that should be considered when problem formulation happens. And what are some of the things which are taken into consideration when problem definition happens? These are the things: past information and forecasts. All right. And please notice that I'm going to circle certain things. These will all relate to your what do you call that? The acronym of problem. The past information, P here. Resources and constraints you must consider are. Objectives must be considered when defining the problem, O. Business model followed by the researcher with respect to the domain or by the research, B. Legal environment, L. The economic environment of the business in which the research is being conducted, E. The different skills that are available with the organization to execute the findings of the research: marketing, financial, HR, technological skills. So what do you see from the beginning? All these factors which should be considered for problem formulation is actually the acronym or the short form of the problem. P, past information. R, resources and constraints. Objectives, O. Business model, B. L, legal environment. E, economic environment. M, marketing, financial, HR, technological skills. So if you talk about problem definition, what are the things that you must consider when formulating the problem or when you are deciding what is the research problem to be pursued, how to define the research problem? You must ensure that all these factors are taken into consideration. The first alphabet in each of these combine to form problem. Is that clear? So please remember this. So this is your factors to be considered. In the meantime, Anita has also answered saying audit is the examination of financial statements of organization by auditor to give an opinion on it. Yes. So therefore problem audit, like audit, is also to find out what is happening and to give a perspective about what kind of problems are actually to be pursued by the researcher. So the business researcher and the management decision maker both jointly decide what has to be pursued. So management decision problem, if you see on the screen, left-hand side talks about what are the management decision problems. Business research problems talk about the information requirement. So management decision problem will focus on symptoms, and business research problems will try to find the information and the underlying causes. Let us take an example to find out what do we mean by that. So management decision problem could be, should a new product be introduced? Please look at the right side of the screen. Okay, so the right side of the screen, observe the spotlight. the right side of this management decision problem would be to determine consumer preferences and purchase intentions for the proposed new product. So what is it going to be? Definitely, if you can find this information about consumer preferences, then perhaps that information can help the management decision problem regarding whether a new product should be introduced. Let's take another example. Should the advertising campaign be changed? The research problem could be to determine the effectiveness of the current advertising campaign. Because to develop advertising and all of that requires a lot of resources and money investment. So return on marketing investment has to be considered. So what is wrong with the current advertising campaign? Or what is the effectiveness? That is what the business research problem must focus on. Third management decision problem example. Which source of finance to take up for a project? A management decision problem is in place. What could be the business research problem? Perhaps to estimate the cost benefit analysis of different fund sources and find out whether debt, equity, which is going to be useful, right? So these are some of the more examples which I'll be sending across to all of you, which is management decision problems and business decision problems. Now, why we need to understand so much in depth about the first step of research process, which is the problem definition, is because you need to understand the management decision maker will have a certain context or symptoms that he or she is facing in a business for which he or she requires the help of business research to take the decision making. Sometimes the decision maker is himself or herself also well versed in business research and can help aid in the process of discussing or finalizing what is to be researched upon. Sometimes the management decision maker may not have too much of understanding of business research, and hence in that case perhaps the entity who is the business researcher will have to take this active role of collaborating with the management decision maker to understand how to find out what is required by the decision maker for helping him or her to take the best kind of decisions in the context of uncertainty. So what you see on the screen, another set of examples. Is there a need for new manpower to be hired? Business decision problem. Right side, you perhaps have to discover the manpower budget, find out the skills and competencies required from the new employees. So that could be the information. Should investment be made for capacity expansion? Efficiency and productivity need to be informed. Technology upgradation required, you perhaps have to specify the new technology. So with this, we would stop today's class and we would continue into the session tomorrow. If there is any kind of doubts, you can let me know right away. Yes, please. Tell me, please.
Regarding the MNCs, multinational companies, like if
Yes.
this want to set up